Now, when I was a kid growing up, I gotta say that Namor looked completely different in the comics, okay, because this is how he looked, all right? He does still have the green spandex today, though. I mean, that's one of the things that's remained constant, the green spandex. Hey guys, Ken here. So the big news in local entertainment in Malaysia this week is that Wakanda Forever has now been approved for play in cinemas all across the country starting November 10th next week. Now this is a huge sigh of relief, I'm sure, to comic book fans, Marvel fans, any kind of pop culture fans you got out there who've just been waiting for some sign, some confirmation on the movie's fate. And this is all because of the fact that Thor Love and Thunder prior to this was not approved for play. It became the first ever Marvel movie in existence to not be approved for play in cinemas across Malaysia. I won't get into the reasons as to why that happened. It's well documented in the press. You guys, if you've not heard about it, go check it out yourselves. Anyway, it seems that Wakanda Forever has not suffered the same fate. So we're going to be checking it out in cinemas next week. I'm going to check it out too. And I'm going to give you guys my review of the movie right after that. Yeah. Now, prior to this, I had a career in film distribution for both Sony Pictures and the Walt Disney Company, a career that spanned something like about 15 years of my life. And I would say that during that time, I've worked on the releases for about probably 200 plus titles all across Malaysia. Yeah, it was a hell of a time. And you know what? I was there when Marvel and Disney first got together in 2011. And the first Marvel movie project that I worked on, in fact, was Avengers, the first one in 2012. And I gotta tell you something, guys, it was like a freaking dream come true, man. You know, I couldn't believe it, okay, that I was working for a company that was actually producing live action Marvel content. I mean, these days, yeah, it's pretty normal. Okay, Marvel's practically everywhere, right? But back in those early days, man, it's like coming to work every day. You feel like your mind was just blowing up, okay, because you just couldn't believe it being a fan. And then it's like the environment that you're working in now has all this Marvel content going for it. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I worked on a ton of Marvel content during those early years. And that's why the release of Wakanda Forever right now is pretty nostalgic for me because I remember working on the release for the first Black Panther movie in 2018, working on the sales strategies and distribution mechanics in order to make the film a success right here in Malaysia. Now, when the movie was first released in 2018, for markets that were outside of America, like Asia and even here in Malaysia, one of the primary discussions was whether or not the movie would be embraced commercially by audiences who are not used to watching a film with an all black cast. And this is actually Hollywood's problem because they don't put out enough of this content, okay? Enough content that actually showcases the talents of black actors, I believe. So, this is one of the primary discussions that's going on out there. And I'm proud to say that, for Malaysia, we worked on strategies to ensure that the film was a huge hit because every market is different. Well, okay, Marvel content is usually different, okay, because Marvel content usually translates to all markets. But then again, there has been markets that have not embraced certain characters as well. It does happen, all right. But I'm proud to say that Black Panther was one of the biggest releases that were ever put out there during the time that I was with the company. I'm proud to have worked on the original movie. And you know what? At that time, merchandising for the film as well was at its peak. Okay, I remember. Now, I actually have quite a fair bit of Black Panther merchandise lying around, thanks to my time working on the movie. And this is one of my favorites, in fact. Okay, the Black Panther head. Okay, you see this thing right here? This thing is really cool. Okay, it's not actually a bust though, because it opens up at the top here, and it's actually a place for you to store popcorn. Look at that, right? It's a cinema promo item as a popcorn box holder. It's great. Okay, I mean, because they got the sculpting of the face done up really well, I think, right? Some really nice detailing all around. So you can just leave it, just basically lying around your house on display like this, and it's kind of life size too. It's like an actual head size. It's pretty cool, right? What do you guys think? Now, I don't know anything about the plot for Wakanda Forever, obviously. Okay, I don't know where the movie is going to be taking us, but it does seem that there's a heavy emphasis on Prince Namor, the submariner, except for the fact that he doesn't look anything like the Namor that we knew if we were comic book fans and we were growing up on the character. He doesn't look anything like that character. Okay, so like the comic book that I showed you in the beginning, he definitely doesn't look anything like this. Okay, all right. So I'm not saying that it's a given that he has to look like his comic book counterpart. All right, These days, we're pretty used to this. The live action interpretation of a character can take on an entirely different form, even an entirely different race, okay, even a gender, for instance, okay, like the Taskmaster in Black Widow. Holy hell, man, it turned out to be a woman, okay, that's the last thing I expected, right? You guys have watched Black Widow, right? I mean, that's not a spoiler, is it? Look, anyway, what I'm trying to say here is just that it seems though that over time, okay, especially when it comes to the Marvel content, it seems like they no longer is an emphasis to sort of like have these characters really resemble their original comic book counterparts. This was a focus though in the initial movies that came out, okay, starting with Iron Man, the Hulk, Thor, Captain America, all those initial movies that came out, the characters resembled, at some points even spot on, okay, pitch perfect, okay, representations of their comic book counterparts. To the point that these days, I mean, it's like if you think of Iron Man, you think of Robert Downey Jr. because you don't even think of the comic book character unless you were a comic book fan. The thing is, they were extracting these characters that were not even famous to begin with. Okay, none of these characters were household names like Batman or Superman back in the day. But when they made them into movie stars, okay, everybody remembered their film representations. But at the same time, their film representations were obviously trying to cater to the hardcore comic book fans. Okay, they didn't want to upset the majority of comic book fans out there. So while they were trying to cater these movies to a whole new audience, okay, that had never seen them before, at the same time, it felt that there was a greater emphasis to sort of like win over the hardcore comic book fan base, okay, to make sure that they gave them accurate representations of these characters. Now, although none of these characters were household names like Batman or Superman to begin with, but it does seem like there was an emphasis, okay, at least a direction to ensure that the hardcore comic book fans were actually happy with the representations first, okay, because definitely whatever they had, whatever ingredients they put into those movies were going to be crowd pleasers, okay. They were designed to be blockbusters, but the emphasis was still at its core to ensure that the hardcore fan base was satisfied with the representations of these characters. It doesn't seem to be the focus anymore, okay? I mean, it just seems that these days, it seems like a character can roughly be anybody, like I said, okay? Any gender, any race, any form, I suppose. I don't know, okay? I mean, like I said again, okay, ever since you told me the Taskmaster in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is supposed to be a woman, it looks nothing at all like the comic book representation of him. I just kind of tuned out, okay. And now I'm seeing it happen more and more often these days. I'm not saying that Prince Namo in this movie is going to be a bad portrayal of the character in any way. I'm not saying that at all, okay. But I'm just saying that I think for comic book fans, especially if there's some part of the character that already at the beginning is like a key element of the character doesn't represent your visual of what the character is supposed to be, I guess you sort of like just tune out, all right? It does happen, okay? And it's like imagine if you watch Iron Man, okay, the first time, Tony Stark. Majority of people out there, okay, wouldn't even know what Tony Stark will look like in the comics, but the fans would know, okay? So if you had him like mustacheless, okay, without a beard and stuff like that, I mean, would that work? I don't think so. Now, when I think about that first Black Panther movie, looking back now almost 5 years later, it's pretty nostalgic because it was actually the movie that was leading up to its Infinity War, and that was, in fact, the beginning of the end of everything. All right. But that first Black Panther movie, to me, it was like the last truly great standalone Marvel movie. Okay. It was like the last time that I felt that there was truly an effort to actually capture the classic feel and vibe of a character from the Marvel Universe. And I don't think we've seen anything else since then. Not anything in Phase 4. Everything has been really dull and pretty much a letdown. Okay, guys. So let me know your thoughts on this video. Let me know your thoughts about Wakanda Forever. If you guys are looking forward to the movie, I'm going to be checking it out next week. I'm going to provide you guys my review of the movie right here. So look out for that one. And I'll catch you guys again real soon with more content. Take care out there.